Don't know about this, Mr. Policeman. This one smells a little funny, brethren. This one smells like a gusu soup and pounded yam. I don't know, man. This one is a little hard to swallow like fufu without okra soup. Hey,
Bandwagon Buffs, man. Hell of a game. 2 win for 500. BWB.
Bandwagon Buffs.
that's right. Buff Nation, what up? BWB, my bandwagon Buffs. What it is, what it does, and what it's gonna be. It's your man's Harry Billion. Family, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Make sure to give me the thumbs up and don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you can get the videos as soon as I upload it to YouTube. Family, I gotta go ahead and get into this video real quick, so that's all the business I got. You know what time it is. Let's work. What up, folks? I hope your Friday is going well. You're getting ready for the UCLA game tomorrow. You can watch it with me. Well, you can't really watch it with me, but we're gonna be live streaming. You watch it on your TV and you can join in and voice your opinion live as we live stream. But guys, listen, man, Boulder just got a little coder for a Colorado prospect and his parent. Let's not waste no time. Let's go straight to AthlineSports.com so we can get the scoop and what's got this parent so upset with Coach Prime and his staff over there in Boulder, Colorado. Let's go. Deion Sanders in Colorado under fire for mistreatment of recruit on a visit. This article is written by Kevin Borba of Athline Sports. Kevin, what up? And also, what's going on with this headline? Deion Sanders in Colorado have certainly piqued the interest of recruits and possible transfer portal targets everywhere. You got that right, buddy. You got that right, buddy. Deion Sanders' approach to recruiting has been one that has been unorthodox, to say the least. The new Colorado head coach implored last year's Colorado roster to hit the transfer portal so he can bring in more transfers. I wouldn't say it quite that way. I wouldn't use the word implore because what does implore mean? Implore, as according to the online dictionary, it says beg someone earnestly or desperately to do something. He implored her to change her mind. I implored mercy. So Kevin, I don't know about that, man. I wouldn't agree with the use of words, and you know, man, I would not use the word implore because he didn't necessarily beg. He was more so challenging them and say, hey man, if you're not about this life, jump into the transfer portal. But if you're a dog, I'm looking for dog. You consider yourself a dog, then go ahead, stay here. Let's work this thing out and let's win some football games. That's more of what he was trying to do, not necessarily begging them to leave, or he was more so challenging them. You know what I'm saying? You a writer, I'm a writer. I gotta make sure that we hold each other accountable, my guy. I know that you're not a hater. You're a writer trying to find interesting and intricate ways to put pen to pad and tell this story. So I get what you're trying to do, but I just wouldn't use that word implore. Okay? All right, that's all I'm saying, Kevin. But we're gonna go ahead and continue reading, okay? Let's continue. The new Colorado head coach implored last year's Colorado roster to hit the transfer portal so he could bring in more transfers. And he has also made it known that when it comes to recruiting, he is focusing on players from powerhouse states like Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So unlike the past regime, which may have tried to value legacy commits to recruit, Sanders is taking a whole new approach. Guess what? That legacy stuff wasn't working, brethren. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say legacy, legacy just means that their parents went to this school. Something he was recently called out for by former Buff star N1 Jones on social media in response to a Colorado commit, as his son Marco was essentially booted from a visit. Jones revealed that his son, who is ranked as a 4-star, was invited to the USC game and had a good time until he was told to leave. My son Marco Jones was invited to Boulder for the USC game and he loved it, Jones said. 4-star linebacker, son of an alum, unreal game experience. All was gravy until they kicked Marco out of the recruit area after the game and said they didn't know who he was. Marco explained who he was. They said he wasn't on the list and was asked to leave. You kicked my son and his coach out of the facility and didn't care that he traveled from California. See you bust football. I know it's busy in Boulder with all of the cool things happening, but no, you treated a true blue chipper and the son of a CU Buff like a scrub. TLC comes to mind. Okay? Don't be a scrub. He continued, explaining that Marco will no longer be considering Colorado. Sad because Marco would have been a great Buff, but the Buffs don't know who he is. I'm a huge supporter of Deion Sanders, and I love what he's doing with the program. I'm going to support all of the recruits that come to CU. It's too bad Marco won't be one of them. This one must have slipped through the cracks. On to the next. There have been no comments made by someone associated with Colorado's recruiting staff about the matter, but it appears that the bridge is burnt. According to 247 Sports, the 2025 linebacker ranks as the number 106 player in the country, number 12 player at his position, and number 13 player in California. With how much Colorado struggles on defense as they rank as the worst defense at the FSB level, adding a player like Jones could have helped them out in a major way. Jones, on the other hand, holds over 20 offers from programs like Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, and USC, amongst other powers. We got to unpack this. Kevin Borba, I thank you for the story, my guy. Continue doing what you do. Let's put this in context. This is a little weird to me, and it's a little precarious to me that a parent will go on Twitter to air this kind of laundry, especially a former Buff. This kind of stuff happens all the time. There's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to personnel management, and communication, all of these things. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that is corrected that we never ever have to hear about. It's like the Will and Jada story where everybody say, hey, Jada, we don't need to know that part. We love you guys, but we don't really need to know that part. For those of you who still love Will and Jada, I've been out of that camp since the slap. But people like, yo, we don't need to know all of this. Leave Will alone, man. I know you prefer Tupac and all of that, but leave Will alone. We didn't need to know all of that, all right? And now we're hearing that the book is flopping. Some things we just don't need to hear about, and some things should not make news. You're a former Buff. This is a little precarious to me. It says former Buff star Anwan Jones. This would be the photo of Marco Jones. All right, so that would be the son. Marco Jones is the linebacker and the CU hopeful, or former CU hopeful, that we are speaking about. I want to see his dad. What does he look like? I believe this is Anwan Jones, former Buff. So I believe that's Antoine Jones. After football, he's still looking buff. He's still buffed up. All right, so here is a better photo of Anwan Jones. Sergeant Anwan Jones with young community member. He's serving the community. If you are an alum, if you are a former Buff, a former linebacker, and you play the game, you are a star, a former Buff star, you will still have connects with the school. You will still be in there with the school if you were a star of the school. I'm not saying he wasn't a star. I'm just trying to set this up so it can make sense to me and to people who are listening. Either Rick George or somebody in the school system should have an understanding of who you were because you were a star of the school. So when you're sending your son to the school, when you have the coach going to the school, you guys will secure passes. YouTubers are getting in the daggone place without being impeded. I ain't saying, look down upon YouTubers or we're the scum of the earth. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if you can get YouTubers in the building without any issue, then a former star should not have an issue. Marco's coach, did they do their due diligence? I don't know. Nobody knows. But this spilled out all the way into the streets. So the question is, how did this get all the way out onto the street? This was in-house. We didn't know any of this information until now, until they got to the X streets or the Twitter streets. A word to Elon Musk, X, it's not a good name, bro. Okay? X is not a good name. Let's go back to Twitter. Twitter's better. Twitter's easier. Tweet. You get me. So the fact that it has spilled out onto the streets, there's a narrative behind that. There's something going on behind that. Somebody's feelings got hurt. Something happened. Communication happened. And that communication probably did not happen the way that certain people would have loved for it to happen, and it got to the streets. This is easily miscommunication. If what I'm reading is true, this sounds more like miscommunication than mistreatment. Once we say the name Jones, oh, what is your name, son? I am the son of former Buff star Anwan Jones. And I was invited to come here, and I'm just here chilling after the game. If they invited you, right, then wouldn't they give you some type of invitational lanyard that has like some type of credentials on there, something that can identify you, that they give most of the invitees or the people that are the guests. And then the fact that once you say Jones, it's like saying, yo, I'm Bronny James, or I'm this person, you know, I'm the son of an alum. They'd be like, oh, N1, we know N1. Hey, Mr. Jones, come on over. Are we not there? It's obvious that Marco had been introduced to Coach Prime because here's the photo right here. He's wearing a lanyard right here, something that identifies him as a guest to be here. This is not showing, but around his neck will have something, some type of credentials to say, this is who I am, that says that you are a guest of CU. And your dad is a star. Let's just say, for instance, all of the people that you encountered there were new people. They were not familiar with your dad, Jones. They didn't know that he was a star linebacker back in the day. They didn't know that information. So if they didn't know that information, when you say your name, I don't know that CU is rude like that for them to be like, no, you're not. We don't know you. There's multiple sides to a story. We only got their side so far. We're only reading the dad's side, which apparently came from Twitter. The fact that it's spilled onto Twitter, something transpired that we're not privy to, and that information is probably the link between why it got to Twitter in the first place. Somebody's feeling had to get hurt, because I don't see Rick George, who is the athletic director at CU, treating somebody poorly who was once a star at his program. It doesn't seem like their character. From what we've learned about these people, I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just saying from the position where I sit at, from what we've learned about the program, about CU, their hospitality, the way they treat strangers who didn't even go to the school. Some of us were treated pretty nicely, okay? I don't even go to the school. I never knew about CU. So the fact that a former buff, a former star would be treated this way, we don't know the other side of the story. This smells like egos playing out. That's what this smells like. I don't want to say one side is correct, the other side is wrong. I don't want to play that game. You know what I'm saying? Colorado does not give me the impression that they are rude people, that they treat people unfairly. They don't give me that impression, especially when Coach Prime knows that he's about to get a potential 4-star linebacker, knowing that we need players like that. For Coach Prime and his staff to just be like, we don't know who you are, get out of here. The story never goes that way. I promise you, if you really follow this story, the story almost never goes that way. This is one side to the story. Oh, you treated my son like a scrub. You threw him out. You didn't even give him the respect of a former Buff Star's son. He didn't even get that common courtesy that most alums would get. I don't know about this, Mr. Policeman. I don't know about this, Mr. Policeman. This one smells a little funny, brethren. This one smells like pounded yam from Nigeria, okay? And I'm from Liberia, all right? This one definitely smells like one of those ugusu soups from Nigeria. Yes, I love picking on your Nigerians. I love Nigeria. I love Ghana. I love Liberia. I love Africa, okay? Stop playing with me. But yeah, man, this one is a little hard to swallow like fufu without okra soup. This kind of stuff should never get to Twitter. It should never even make the rounds at all. The fact that it got to Twitter, that means somebody dropped the ball. I know I'm reading this from Athlon Sports, but ESPN and other people like the Buffs beat and other people are talking about it. So we should never hear about this kind of stuff, but it happens. So I wouldn't say mistreatment. I would say miscommunication, and Coach Prime probably had no idea that this stuff happened. Even the haters would tell you that. Even the haters agree with me, like, yo, Coach Prime is a good dude, and that kind of stuff is probably just miscommunication as opposed to mistreatment. Okay, we all agree, haters, lovers, we all agree that this is just miscommunication, right, guys? We already know Coach Prime's character. All right, guys, sound off in the comments. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out. Okay, family, that is all the information that I have for this video. I hope you got a little something out of it, and if you did, please make sure to smash that subscribe button to help this channel grow. That's all I do here. I'm gonna have to leave it right there. You know who I am. I'm Harry B, and that right there was the Liberian Perspective. That's TLP Sports Club.